Hi, everyone. Hi, welcome back to the Switch on Your Brain Mental Health Makeover Workshop or Book Club. This is our last in the series where we're dealing with Switch on Your Brain. I hope you've enjoyed the other two events that we've done. We've been discussing Switch on Your Brain. So this is the book that we're studying in this book club this month. And we've done 2 sessions, as I said, and this is the 3rd session and the final session on this book. I just have to say, I thank you for the great feedback that we've been getting. Every book signing I do, every day we're getting people sending us the most amazing reviews on this material. And I'm so thrilled it's helping you. I tell you, I will all for the last 8 days, I've been doing a tour around America, and I've done 8 events in just 8 days and 8 flights in different places and multiple events. Some of you that are watching tonight may have attended those events. And I tell you, the testimonies at the book table have been amazing. The stories, I love them. Send us emails, send us comments, put your reviews on this YouTube channel. And don't forget, guys, listen to my podcast. Remember, every week I bring out a podcast. So subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my podcast channel so that you can get this great information in bite-sized chunks to help you. So the books contain all the information, and then I unpack the books into these book clubs and into the podcast, etc., to help you guys. So Switch on Your Brain is what we're studying, and don't forget there's the DVD. So if you are wanting to do a book study with a group of people, I recommend every person gets their own book, workbook, and DVD. So you get the 3 as a set. There you go. You get the 3 as a set, and this is a great way of over 8 weeks you can study this book. You can fill in the workbook. It's got some great it basically unpacks the content, and then it helps you to really process this information. Comes in a really cool little box, so you could get each one in your group one of these sets. And then also don't forget the devotional, which I brought out last year. So this is Switch on Your Brain every day. 365 readings for peak happiness, thinking, and health. Getting amazing feedback from this as well. It really is very exciting for me to get the feedback from you, because that shows me that the time that I'm putting into these book clubs and social media and creating the posts for you and doing these talks is really helping you. I'm also writing another book at the moment, which I'm really excited about. And our app that I have been speaking about since January is out. It came out 2 weeks ago, the Switch app. So it's like Switch on Your Brain. The app is called Switch, and it's on iTunes and Google Play. So if you type in Switch on Your Brain, the Switch app will come up, and it is doing so well. We have so many people on it. We're getting fantastic feedback. For those of you that have already got it and have sent feedback, thank you. And that content is based on all my work, all the information in my books, but it's structured around what we're going to be discussing today, which is the second half of this book, which is the 21-day brain detox, based on my 5-step Switch on Your Brain learning process. So the app's called Switch, to help you switch on your brain with your mind. Okay, your mind is how you change your brain. Okay, so it works hand in hand with the book. It's going to be replacing the online program. So a lot of you may have been using the 21-day brain detox online program. So what we've done is we've updated that, we've upgraded that, we've turned it into this amazing product, this amazing app. And it basically contains the same information, but it's like on steroids. It's so much more effective. I really explain to you, because it's audio driven, I explain to you how to do these things, and I walk you through the processes, and I bring in techniques from my other books as well. And what's really cool about this app is that I use the language of science. And it's so important to use the language of science because it's a neutral language. Now, guys, when I'm talking science, I am talking spirituality. Science is spiritual. Science comes from the word skura, which means knowledge. Okay, and we know that God is the source of all knowledge. So when I'm talking science, I'm talking God. So for those of you that get the app, you will see that it's the language of science. I take you through the 5 steps. I guide you through the process. I help you with all the different steps and stages, and I give you lots of applications and things, and you'll see that it's very scientific. What we're adding onto that is a fabulous resource section which is being built. So it's not in the app at the moment, but it's being built at the moment. It'll be sections as the sections are ready, we'll be releasing them. And those resources will link you to, like if you're having a panic attack, it will link you to the podcast and a PDF on how to manage a panic attack. And if you're having, like if you want to know how to apply scriptures, for example, or if you want to do like a worship exercise, or so all the applications spiritually and for depression and all that kind of thing, we're going to have in a resource section. And then every year we'll be adding on 2 or 3 new versions of the apps. So the app that's been released now is the main one, the main 5-step 21-day detox your brain process. But we'll be adding different apps, add-ons, so that like to help you with your suicide prevention and managing depression, and how to learn how to build your brain and how to manage anxiety. And so the add-ons to the app, which will be app driven, which are different to the resource section, will be focusing on quite specific things. So the same 5 steps, which is the basics of the app, with all these really cool add-ons. We're even going to have things for sports people, how to improve your sports skills. So over the years, every year, constantly, there's going to be new information. So there's so much information that I have in my materials. So what I'm trying to do is encourage you to get the books, but in the app, this is a really practical way of you helping to pull this all together. So let's dive into the second part of this book, which is part 2, which is the 21-day Brain Detox Plan, which is exactly what the Switch app is based on. Okay, so first of all, why is it called the 21-day Brain Detox? Why 21 days? So for years, 30 years, I've been researching the mind-brain connection and working on memory and what is memory. My latest work on memory is in my book, Think, Learn, Succeed. There's also information on memory in here. But what we see about memory is that memories are thoughts. So thoughts and memories, they are the same thing. Okay, that's really important to remember. So when I talk about a thought, I'm talking about a memory. And thoughts and memories being the same thing, that's what you are building. So as you're listening to me now, you're thinking, feeling, and choosing, which is your mind in action. And the result is that you will build thoughts. So thoughts are real things that occupy mental real estate. Now, these thoughts or these memories take 21 days to turn into a long-term memory. So long-term memory, which means it's going to actually be memory that you contributes to how you function cognitively, how it can contribute to how you're functioning cognitively, is going to take 21 days to build. If you don't take the time to build the long-term memory, you're going to forget information. That's what memory is. So a thought, which is a memory, to turn it into a long-term memory that you can use it, you need to spend at least 21 days building it, so about 3 weeks. Once it's built, however, it goes into the stores of unconscious mind, which is part of your non-physical spiritual 99%, which I've spoken about many times. Remember, you are made up of your 99 spiritual, non-physical, and then your 1% physical. The 1% physical is your brain and your body, and your mind, which is your spiritual, is that 99%. So the mind works through the brain responds to the mind. So the mind is like the white light shining through a prism, just as an example. So if you shine white lights at a prism, and then it comes out, it breaks up into all the different colors, like of the rainbow, basically, as it comes out the other side. So the white light is transmitted into a multitude of into the 7 the colors of the rainbow. Okay, so that's what your brain is doing. You are taking this quantum energy, which is your thinking, feeling, and choosing, and you are moving it through your brain, and you're building these thoughts, and out comes this rainbow of words and actions, and you controlling that all the time. So you're not your brain, you control your brain. So as you're doing this every day, responding to life, the information coming in, you thinking, feeling, choosing, building your thoughts, and then you speak from those thoughts. In order to take the information you're learning every day and put it into long-term memory, it takes 21 days. So it's daily practice every day. So that's for building the brain. It also takes 21 days to break down a toxic thought. So the point of this 21-day detox in the Switch app and in this book, okay, is that you're supposed to work on one issue at a time for 21 days. Okay, so just so that you're not confused, the 21-day principle is how you build long-term memory, and it's how you break down long-term memory. So every day you've got to build your brain. We spoke about this in Think, Learn, Succeed. You've got to build your brain. So you should be studying something new every day. Otherwise your brain gets toxic. Okay. And to master something, to master knowledge, you need to work on it a little bit every single day over 3 weeks. Okay. To build a long-term memory. When you talk about detoxing a thought, that's not building a memory, that is reconceptualizing a memory. So you're taking that toxic thought and you're turning it into a healthy thought, and that's going to take 21 days as well. What do you do in those 21 days? You do 5 steps. Okay, so before I explain those, the 21 days, therefore, is to build long term memory and also to break down long term memories. So when we break them down, we always reconceptualize them. So what you've gone through, your traumas, the bad habits, etc., those things are part of you, but you don't want the toxic stuff to control you. So the point of detoxing your brain and the 21-day brain detox is to get to identify the toxicity, to identify the traumas that you haven't worked through, the bitterness, the unforgiveness, the jealousy, the envy, the bad habits that you maybe get irritated in traffic, or you do this, or you do that, or you get frustrated with you get frustrated very easily, or you're not very patient, or you get worried too quickly, or something like the little bad habits that you've developed. That's what we want to detox. That's different from building. Both take these cycles of 21 days and both use the 5 steps. So the building process, which we're also going to put into the app, it's at the moment we've got the basic 5 steps in the app to detox. And we're going to be very soon adding in the basic 5 steps to build your brain, which is super important for making sure that you build up a lot of cognitive reserve in your brain to prevent things like Alzheimer's. You've got to keep growing your intelligence. Also, building your brain also helps to prevent depression and anxiety, etc. When you talk about detoxing, we are basically taking already what exists, which is an underlying cause, and we are redesigning, reconceptualizing it over 21 days and building it into a beautiful, healthy new thought. Okay, and you doing that all the time. It's a daily exercise. So when we talk about detoxing, we only spend around about 7 to 16 minutes a day. So it's 7 to 16 minutes a day. That's all it is. 7 to 16 minutes a day. And what do you do in that 7 to 16 minutes a day? You're going to work through the 5 steps and you're working on one thought. So you take one toxic issue for 7 to 16 minutes a day. So it's one toxic issue for 7 to 16 minutes a day. Okay. And what do you do in that 7 to 16 minutes? You do the 5 steps. Okay. And after 21 days, you are going to then practice using the new reconceptualized long-term memory. So you've taken that toxic bad habit and you've redesigned it into the new way of thinking. So you remember how you were, but you're not going to function like that anymore. You're going to change. Now let me tell you why it's so important to practice using it. Okay, you need to practice using it for at least another 2 cycles of 21 days. So a total of another 42 days. That makes 63 days. You often hear that it takes 21 days to build a habit. It doesn't take 21 days to build a habit. It takes 63 days at least to build a habit. Okay, and it's regular daily practice. As you're practicing deliberate, intentional, conscious, self-regulated, practicing a new way of thinking. And that regular practice that you do daily for 7 to 16 minutes for the first 21 days, and then for the additional 2 cycles of 21 days, you don't have to spend 7 to 16 minutes. You could spend 7 seconds, 7 minutes. What you just need to do in the second 2 cycles of 21 days, which is from day 22 to day 42 and day 43 to day 63, okay? What you're doing there is you are practicing using that new way of thinking. And you just have to prompt yourself around about 7 times a day to remember to do that. Now, what we built into the Switch app, which has all this stuff in, is you can set a little reminder, like you said on your iPhone. You can set a reminder, and let's say that you're working on practicing not saying if only. That's something that I had to practice on, really work on. I did a couple of 63-day cycles to get my if onlys under control. So I'd do something, then I would say, if only I did it this way. And it would block me. It would actually I'd get myself really quite frustrated and waste valuable mental energy, which is limited, okay, in every 24-hour period. And I would waste time focusing on this. If only I did it this way and that way, and I'd create all these scenarios in my head of what I should have done. And it became very negative in my life. So I went through to a couple of cycles of 63 days, and I managed to get that under control and reconceptualize it. So now the if only is not negative. If I catch myself saying if only, I found myself not going down a negative road, I immediately say, okay, well, I didn't do it that way. Instead of getting negative, I say, okay, what did I learn? So I didn't do it that way. So it's not an if only and a trauma. It is if only I had done it this way, so it wasn't a failure. I learned a new way of doing things. It's changed my life. But that took deliberate, intentional, conscious, self-regulated 7 to 16 minutes a day. I used my own app. I tested out my own app, the information in the app and the information in the second part of this book, which is pretty much obviously based on the same science and it's the same process. I have developed this over 30 years. I use this with my patients in clinical practice for 25 years. I'm still doing clinical research. You go and look at drleafresearch.com. I tell you every week about that as well. And if you look at the show notes, you'll find the link to the Switch app, and you'll find the link to my research, drleafresearch.com, where I'm looking at using this process that I'm explaining to help you manage depression and anxiety and psychotic breaks and burnout and toxic stress and difficult teenagers and stimulating your child's brain and helping your child deal with emotions and all these different things. Okay, so I use this process. I start every single day. I wake up in the morning and I have my cup of coffee, which is I always call God's juice, and I put on my mindsets. Now, the mindsets we discussed in Think, Learn, Succeed, I shift my mind into the right attitude for the day. So you can go back and look at the Think, Learn, Succeed videos where we discuss that book. You can get the book. You'll also find that at drleaf.com and in the show notes, Think, Learn, Succeed, about the mindsets. Then as I'm getting ready, I do my 7 to 16 minutes switch on your brain process. So I use my Switch app to guide me through it, to remind me. So while I'm getting ready, I've just put it on my phone and I play that, and it's basically walks me through the process. So every 21 days, I'm working on something new. And so in the morning while I'm getting ready, 7 to 16 minutes, takes me normally longer to get ready than that. So sometimes I'll do it, sometimes I may stretch out the process or practice something else or make sure I'm in the correct mindset, but I spend 7 to 16 minutes a day. See, I haven't added a burden to my life. I'm just in a routine. I wake up in the morning, I get my mindsets on, so I've got the right attitude for the day. And then immediately as I'm getting ready, I start doing my detox. I work on one toxic thought over the 21 days. Why one thing? Because it takes 21 days to break down and reconceptualize and build a new way of thinking. It takes 21 days to make that change. And then the additional 2 cycles of 21 days help you to turn that into a habit. You can sign for the habit automatization. So when you automatize something, it doesn't mean that it's like a robot. It means it's a very intellectual process, but it's something that you practice. So you create a very powerful, high energy network in your brain that when you are in situations, that high energy, well practiced new way of thinking pops up. As opposed to if it doesn't have energy, it can't get into your conscious mind. So when I say pops up, it moves into your conscious mind. So you can spend 21 days building a new way of thinking, take that toxic, getting irritated in traffic, or if only, or reacting negatively to getting like really upset by people, saying things to you, overreacting, over emotional, whatever it is that you're working on. And you can do that reconceptualizing 7 to 16 minutes a day, build a new beautiful thought. But if you don't practice it, it's there, but it doesn't have enough energy. So you know that you should be operating in a certain way, but because you didn't practice it enough, you didn't automatize it, you didn't give it enough energy. So it didn't go strong enough to move into the conscious mind to be there when you need it. You see, most people desire change. It's a very normal human thing to desire to change. The thing is that we don't always spend enough time developing the correct thought patterns that actually bring forth the change. So changes in your life, the way you think, the way you manage the stressors, the events and circumstances of life. If you want to change how you're doing that, you're going to have to spend at least 63 days. That's what science tells us. Science is the most phenomenal way of learning how to be practical. Okay, so 21 days is 3 weeks. The next 2 cycles, you add on another 3 weeks to practice, another 3 weeks to practice. So you spend about 9 weeks working on a thought. And after that, it's got enough energy to make that desired change in your life. So what you're doing is you change a thought every 21 days. But once you've built the thought, reconceptualized, you then, the amount of time you spend in this next 3 weeks and the next 3 weeks, so from week 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, and 9, is only a few minutes a day. And that's where setting the active reaches on your phone, the reminders on your phone, is a great way, because you go through, I've got them on my phone. So as the day goes by, I'm on my phone, checking something, reading something, answering a call, and oops, up pops my active reach that I'm practicing from the 21 days I've just finished. And there'll be a second thing popping up, which is the little practice from the previous 21 days. And a third thing will pop up, and that's from the previous one. So there's 3 reminders. I don't really have to do anything except read it and process it and remember to apply it in my daily life. So as I'm going through my day and I find myself doing an if only, because it's such a habit now, I catch myself immediately. I still have my little reminder on the phone. The things I really battle with, I keep them. I just have set my active reaches to just keep popping up to remind me. And it's not a big effort. So the second set of 3 weeks, week 3 to 6 and week 6 to 9, are super easy. You just got to get organized. And that's why I recommend, along with the book, you really study it in the book. The book gives you lots of information. I mean, everything I'm saying now is pretty much in the book, and we'll just highlight a few little sections together as we're going through. But that by using the app with this, you can really practice in very, very well to make this a lifestyle. So many years ago, when I was doing this research, I wanted to understand how thoughts form and how do you bring all thoughts to captivity, and how do you redesign a thought, and how do you break down a thought and build a thought. And so I studied neuroscience, and I studied cognitive neuroscience and psychoneuroimmunology and quantum physics, and trying to work out how this works. And out of that research came the 5 steps, which when I was working with my patients, I would teach them the science, but I needed to give them a simple technique that would help them to deal with the anxiety, the depression, the psychotic breaks, the PTSD, the trauma, the learning problems, etc. And those are not illnesses. Remember, I say this all the time. Those words, depression, anxiety, those are not illnesses. Those are signals. Remember, we discussed this in the book. In the previous chapters, I discussed it in The Perfect You. I've discussed it in Think, Learn, Succeed. That is one of the main focuses that I teach people. Depression, illness, depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar, PTSD. These are not illnesses. These are not neuropsychiatric brain diseases. Okay, these are signals telling you that there's something you need. 21-day detox, which is in the Switch app and which is written up in this book. You are responding to the signal of depression. You're responding to the signal of anxiety. You're responding to the signal of post-traumatic stress. You are responding to the signal of intrusive thoughts. Those are signals, descriptive signals, alarms telling you, hey, there's something going on in your life. So you embrace and you start reconceptualizing, redesigning it as you work through the 21 days. Now, you only spend 7 to 16 minutes a day, because if you spend longer, it's too much, it's too many emotions. When you build your brain, let's say you're learning and you've got to build your brain every day. And as I said, Think, Learn, Succeed, I teach on that. You can spend as long as you want. I use these 5 steps. Every day for at least 2 hours a day, I am learning stuff. First thing in the morning, once I put on my mindsets, and just before I do my detox, that's when I do research and I build my brain. And whenever I've got a spare moment during the day, I will do research. I fly a lot. I'm traveling a lot, 70% of the month. So I'm waiting for luggage and I'm on a plane. I'm always building my brain. Okay. And I use the 5 steps to build my brain. So there's no limit on the amount of time you spend building your brain. You just want to give yourself a little rest, and there's a great add-on to the app coming very soon to teach you how to build your brain. So it's going to be excellent for students at school, for teachers, for students at university, for people doing postgrad. It's how to really learn. Okay, but when it comes to detoxing your brain, in this book, Switch on Your Brain, that we're discussing, the 21-day detox plan, that is using the 5 steps to break down the toxic thoughts. So we limit that to 7 to 16 minutes a day. Otherwise, it's too emotionally overwhelming. You're dealing with a lot of negative emotions, and that's why it's very important that as soon as you feel like it's too much, that you stop. And that's why I give you the range, 7 to 16. You can go even 5 minutes. It takes about 7 minutes though to work through the 5 steps, because you spend around about a minute to a minute and a half on each of the 5 steps. But don't go longer than 16 minutes, because you're going to do it again tomorrow. And then tomorrow you can spend your 7 to 16 minutes, and then the next day. And you've got 21 days to spend 7 to 16 minutes. So it's little bite-sized chunks. I found with my patients, and I found we reach millions now with my platform, and we get thousands of emails and messages a week. And I have we have a standard response where people say, why should I only spend a short amount of time? And you'll find that in the FAQs on my website, and as well as in the app for FAQs, the Switch app. Switch app is what we've been talking about. That is the app that I've just released that goes along with the 21-day brain detox. Okay, it is the 21-day brain detox, but on steroids. It's amazing. Okay, so that when you are doing that, when you're doing the 21-day detox, when you're going through that process, you are transforming how the energy works in your brain. You're getting that thought under control. You're turning it into that habit. Okay, let's have a look in the book, and then I'm going to first thing, let me just quickly tell you what the 5 steps are. So those 5 steps were based on brain science, trying to understand how thoughts form. So there's 5 basic steps that your brain goes through in response to your mind as you think, feel, and choose. And it's a very complex neurophysiological and quantum process, but I've simplified that. And it's what I've continued to research and what I'm still researching in my clinical trials. So I'm always improving it. Every product I bring out, every book I bring out has improved versions of how you can use these 5 steps. But these basic 5 steps, which are in the Switch app and in this book, Switch on Your Brain, and the second part over here, are how you break down a thought and how you build up a thought. So the first thing is that we have to become very aware. We have to gather that thing we're going to break down, the toxic thought we're going to break down. We have to gather it. We have to become aware of it. We have to choose it. You have to select and narrow down, I'm going to work on this. And if 20,000 things come up, choose one. You can work over it. This is a lifestyle. Guys, I'm not teaching you something that you do once. Don't ever send me an email or find me at a book table and say, oh, I did your 21-day detox once from the book or from the online program or from the Switch app. No, not once. Renewing of the mind is a lifestyle. This is for the rest of your life. I've been doing this for years, and I will do this for the rest of my life. You keep doing this all the time because you're always dealing with stuff. You always got new traumas to deal with, new bad habits, and you fix one and then there's another. So you're leading a self-regulated life, which is very, very healthy for your brain and your body. What you're doing is mental self-care, your mind management. And research shows that one of the main reason why people are battling physically and mentally and really back into cope with life is because of a lack of good mind. Into captivity, activate your thinking, learning, and choosing correctly. So we've got to gather awareness of this. We've got to get it. We've got to find it. We've got to find that one thought that we're going to work on for the 21 days. When you're finished, you're going to do that. You're going to find the next thought. So each day there's always a gather moment. And then the second thing is that there's a very focused reflection, a very contemplated, inward, introspective point where you start trying to unpack and understand what this thought is and why it's causing you to feel the way that you feel. Because when you're detoxing something that's making you feel bad, burnt out, toxic stress, depressed, anxious, angst, whatever it may be. You're feeling on edge. So you're finding the cause. So you think you get to the point where you identify the toxic thought, you label it. So if only, let me use the example of the if only. And then you start really thinking in the second step, focus reflection about where did I develop this if only habit from? What is it? Is it a perfectionistic nature, whatever? So you start exploring and finding the root in the second step. Like bite-sized chunks every day. You're not going to solve it on the first day, the second day, the third day. It takes you 21 days to solve what the root is. And then in the process, very often you find that there's connected thoughts that you have to separate out and you work on separately. Okay. The third thing is to write down as you are doing this very deliberate, intentional self-regulation, you need to write it down. As you write, it activates the basal ganglia, it activates different parts of the brain that will then enable you to process more efficiently. So what I'm saying is that as you are writing down what you are understanding about this issue, your brain is responding to give you cognitive fluency. Your brain starts operating at a really high level. Then it's very important to go back and look at what you've read, which is the fourth step. And then the fifth step is to choose out of what you have written. When you go back and the fourth step and you read and you try and look for patterns, is find a little trigger, a little something in that content that will help you during the course of that day. So at the moment, and I call that, that's step 5, that's an active reach. You've got to find a little active reach. So that could be something as simple as, like, when I started working on the if only, right at the beginning, on like day 1 through I think almost day 5, I wanted to start training myself to be aware of how many times a day I was doing the if only. So I basically had a little, I would count it. I literally would be very aware. I put find my if onlys was my little active reach. Find how many times you're doing if only today. And so I did that for the first about 7 days. And then after that, my active reach became, okay, now find the situations that seem to trigger that. And then I did that, and that's just, I typed that into my Switch app, the little notification sections. You can set the reminders. Before I had the app designed, I would just make a note of those, but now it's done for you in the Switch app. You just have to put them in. So it changes. So your active reach, it could be something as simple as maybe a scripture that you say, or a little motivational statement, or it may just be a song that you hum. An active reach is something super simple that helps you to practice using what you've learned that day. Remember, you don't build Rome in a day. It's very simple, very tiny little action steps, which then cumulatively build into a major change. If you try and change in 1 day or 2 days or 3 days or 4 days, you're not going to build lasting change. If you don't feel much change in the first day, that's okay. It's happening. Just the mere fact that you're doing it, major changes are happening in your brain, but they're teensy. So you always feel them, but cumulatively over the 21 days, you will start seeing differences. At day 7, it's very significant. At day 14, you start seeing a massive difference. Danger day 14 is you think, hey, I've got this under control, and you get lazy and don't finish. If you do that, the new memory that you've been reconceptualizing will actually denature. It will turn into heat energy, and all the work you've done for 2 weeks will go away, and you will slip back into bad habits. Okay, so we slip back into bad habits when we don't spend sufficient time and energy building the new thought and then practicing for the extra 3 weeks and 3 weeks after. That's why it's 21 days. It's cycles of 21 days. The big work goes in the first 21 days, and then the second 2 cycles of 21 days are super simple. It's just little prompts to remind you, or a little humming a song, or a little motivational, or something helps you to practice what you discovered in your process of working. Book now. Okay, so what is the 21-day Brain Detox Plan? This is chapter 9. If you haven't got the book, guys, you need to get the book. You need to get the Switch app. Okay, and you need to get the DVD. Everything in this chapter I've explained to you. So page 139 through page 146 is pretty much, well, I've pretty much explained the whole second half of this book. So I'm just going to show you in the book where everything is, so where you can find what I've been saying. So, for example, the summary of chapter 9 is you have to choose to have a controlled thought life. No one can do it for you. This is not something that's just going to jump on you. You have to make the decision. Am I going to put in this effort? Now, if you don't get your mind right, if you don't manage your mind, nothing else in your life will go right. You're always going to feel anxious. You're always going to feel in conflict. You're going to feel longer bouts of depression. And remember, all of us feel anxious. All of us experience depression. It's totally normal. It's the human condition, okay? But you can learn to control that. You can learn to control your reactions. You can manage your mind. If you don't manage your mind, your brain gets damaged. So managing your mind helps to prevent more brain damage and helps to heal existing brain damage. So you're becoming a brain surgeon. You're a neurosurgeon when you do these 5 steps through the book and the Switch app. Remember Switch app? It's on iTunes and Google Play. You just type in Switch on your brain and it'll come up. I'm going to show you what it looks like at the end. We need to wire in positive thought networks that can fill us with power to get back on track. I wanted to say something about that. You guys need to remember it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay to be anxious. It's okay to feel the negative thoughts. Embrace them, celebrate them, because as soon as you embrace and celebrate and acknowledge, you've weakened them. And as soon as you've weakened them, you can change them. But if you ignore them, pretend they don't exist, use a positive affirmation or a scripture like a band-aid or a magic potion, they haven't gone away. They're still there in your non-conscious spiritual mind, your non-physical spiritual mind, and you physically built them into your brain. Remember, you are changing the structure of your brain. Every thought that you build has eternal value. It lives forever. And it's built into your brain and your non-physical. But you can always change it. That's why we renew our mind. This is what I'm teaching you. This is why we change our brain. Okay, why we do all of this stuff. Okay, so whatever. Okay, I'm going to go to point number 6 on page 146. If you put your mind to it, you can achieve what you are designed to achieve. You can control your brain. Your brain doesn't have to control you. It doesn't mean life's just going to be a walk in the park. You're still going to battle, but you're going to freak out in the love zone. You're going to freak out in the love zone because you have a management tool. Guys, you cannot control what other people do. You can't control the socioeconomic, the political. There's a limited amount of control that we have over the events and circumstances in our life. But we do have the ability to intrinsically control our reactions. So chapter 10 is how and why the 21-day Brain Detox Plan works. And I talk about the daily routine, which is doing it every day for 7 to 16 minutes for 21 days to build the long-term memory and to reconceptualize. The 5 steps over here: gather, focus, reflection, write, revisit, active reach. You've got a really cool drawing to help you understand that too. You're doing your own brain surgery. That's the heading on page 148. You can repeat the cycle. You're going to pay more attention to the healthy new memory. Remember, we're not spending our time getting immersed and into guilt, shame, and condemnation for, oh my gosh, I had this terrible thought. I always do this. I do. No. You don't want to do that. That's going to keep you stuck. What you want to do is, I found it. This is fantastic. Celebrate it. Embrace it. You're not celebrating what you're doing wrong. You're celebrating that you found it. You've recognized it. You bring it into the conscious mind and you've weakened it. When something's weak, it can change, okay? So many great things are happening. I give you some science about what's happening. You're changing little structures inside your brain from on the little branches of your memories. You'll see this on page 153. I talk about bumps and lollipops and mushrooms. As you're doing this work, you're changing the little structures of these minute little branches inside of your brain. You're building these quantum neurobiological supercomputers. But it is, and I say on page 154, the 21-day Brain Detox Plan, which is in here and it's in the Switch app, okay, is a deliberate practice. It's deliberate. It's daily. It's regular. It's a lifestyle. You keep on doing it. As you finish one, you start another. So it's 17 things you'll do a year, 365 divided by 21. Okay, so then chapter 11, now the rest of the book is great because I go into detail about gather. And I give you some science. I like where the signals come from. You've got this really cool brain drawing to understand that the signals coming from through the 5 senses and quantumly through your whole body. And what are those signals? Those are the events and circumstances of life. Those signals are the telephone call, the text, the email, the conversation, the thing you have to do at work, what's going on around you, the things that happen. Okay, life. Okay, those are the signals coming in. And you think, feel, and choose, and you respond. You have to be very regulated. By doing the 21-day detox, you learn to become much more controlled in your reactions. So that's a great benefit. So not only are you detoxing and changing toxic patterns in your life, which are very often causing the anxiety, depression, etc., they're the cause, and bad reactions, but you are also learning to become much more self-regulated. And that's what we need to be. We need to be self-regulated. We need to embrace the sufferings of life. We need to recognize it's part of our story. You have a story. Don't try and pretend everything's all happy all the time. God is in the sadness and the depression, and God is in the joy and the peace. God is everywhere. Okay, so we embrace to move forward. We don't embrace to stay there or whine and stay there. We embrace to move forward. So I give you some really cool science, and I give you some questions to help you work through the process. The workbook helps you to really understand the process as well. The workbook applies to the whole book. There's also the DVD. It's an 8-week study that you can do in a group, as I've mentioned. So that whole chapter on Gather, I explain what it is and I give you the science. Same thing with the chapter 12, which is step number 2. Chapter 13, which is step number 3, I explain what it is, how to do it, the science, which I've given you the broad outline. And then there's chapter 14, which is the revisit. And I want to just say something about the revisit, which is the 4th step. Okay, the revisit is a recheck. It's an editing step. It's where you go look for patterns. It's very exciting. And it's a great place to like use highlighters and circle things. And as you're looking back at what you've read, you just start getting tremendous insight into things. Now, sometimes it makes no sense what you're seeing. And sometimes today it makes no sense, tomorrow it makes no sense, next day it makes no sense. Suddenly on day 4, now the puzzle's starting to be built. So you've got to persist, little tiny bite-sized chunks every day. And then chapter 15, I deal with the active reach. Once again, the format is basically how I explain how to do it. There's some questions to guide you, and there's some science explaining the process. Okay, so what I want to do is show you what the app looks like on your phone. Okay, so I hope you can all see this. There is the app right down there. So that's what it looks like. Okay, so I'm going to just open it up and show you. And it's audio driven and you can build your active reaches in. It's so cool. It's audio driven and there's videos and it's interactive, and we've had a few little bugs which we're ironing out. We've got our team of engineers working around the clock to iron it out. Now remember, I remind you, it's the language of science. Okay, so you won't find scriptures in that, but if I'm talking science, I'm talking God. But we've got a great resource section that's going to have videos and scriptures and everything that you can then use to help you with your daily active reaches and all the different, for each of the different 5 steps. Okay, so guys, I am so excited that I have done this book study with you. I'm so excited about the testimonies that I know I'm going to get from you guys working through this book, building the 21-day detox into your life. I'm so sorry about this. I thought I had disconnected that. I'm back. Apologies, I quit my messages and not the phone. Okay, so I'm so looking forward to the testimonies that you're going to send me about how you are building this into your lifestyle, how it's changing your life, how it's changing get your husband doing it, get your wife doing it, get your girlfriends and boyfriends and kids doing it, and do this as a group. Encourage each other, be accountable to each other. Things work so well in community. Okay, we've got a lot of super exciting new things coming up for this mental health makeover. Remember, these book studies have been part of a mental health makeover that is going on this whole year. In January, we studied the Perfect You. Then we studied the Think, Learn, Succeed. Then we did Think and Eat Yourself Smart. And then this month, we've done Switch on Your Brain. Watch my social media. Follow me on social media so you can see what we're doing next month. These are on YouTube. All these teachings have been on YouTube Lives, are on YouTube. So subscribe to my YouTube channel. Remember, each week I send out an email. Subscribe to my email list. You'll get the email, which has got always got information that's linked to the podcast. Subscribe to my podcast channel. Our podcasts are short, 10 minutes. Will take you to the blog where you will have that content in written form. Guys, I'm doing so much to help you. All this content you can plug in to this 21-day detox. So if you're part of the podcasts and the email blasts and follow me on social media, you're going to get so many great ideas for your active reaches and the 5 different steps and how to apply this and how to find things that are going wrong. It's going to help you use the app even more. And guys, get the app. It is amazing. I am so excited about this app, and I know it's going to help you. And last thing, please don't forget to go and look at my research, drleafresearch.com. Please partner with me help you change the mental health system that is actually destroying brains. Research shows that the current mental health system is increasing the chance of people dying younger. It's not working. People are getting worse. Suicide rates are getting worse because people are being told that they have a disease and are getting given psychotropic medication. You need to be told that you're brilliant, you can manage your mind, and that you have a story, and that in community, you can't do this alone. It's not about you alone, it's about you in the world. That in community, you have this resilience inside of you. This technique is teaching you the Switch on Your Brain 5-step learning process that I'm teaching you in this book and in my Switch app is a way for you to build your resilience, to recognize that what it means to have a love, power, and a sound mind, and to embrace the good with the bad of life, and to be able to manage your reactions. And that's mental health. Okay, we've all got a story. You need your story on it. If you've gone through trauma, it's not going to help just to give you a label and diagnosis. You need to face that trauma, move through that trauma, find the causes, reconceptualize so that you can build the resilience. And that's what this is going to help you do. Thanks for joining me today. Watch our social media to see what's coming up soon. Look at the show notes for all the different things. As I said, the research, drleafresearch.com, the Switch app, all these different things to help you become the amazing person that you are. Thanks for joining me in this very exciting journey of learning how to manage our minds. Really excellent mental self-care. Thank you so much. See you all soon. Bye.